I would just say a very, very quick hello to everybody. I'm so excited about today's session. I really feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here. There's some amazing early career nurses and midwives and some really esteemed academics and nurse leaders that have done amazing things in different parts of the world. So I'm not going to waste any more time because there's so much to talk about and so much to share. I'm going to hand you over to the amazing Professor Sheila Clow, who is the Chancellor of the University of Botswana, been a Minister for Health, is amazing champion for the next generation of nurses and midwives, and. So Sheila, over to you, and thank you so much for being such an amazing champion for nurses and midwives all over the world.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lisa. You know, you are my inspiration in the ultimate. So let me say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I know those who are down under is sort of like good late afternoon, good evening. But it's really great to be here. And indeed, as Professor Lisa said, you know what? The main thing about our Nursing Now challenge is really to encourage universities and even workplaces to invest in our future, to invest in early career nurses and midwives, and to ensure that they have that leadership exposure, that leadership training that will enable them to get at the workplace, at whatever workplace, and be able to really give the best and showcase and profile the status of nursing as that profession that can take care of humanity in all settings. And indeed, we have shown that, especially during this now COVID pandemic. So indeed, I'm not going to waste a lot of time, but I simply want to say to our attendees out there, our participants, just how excited I am, because we have a great group of nurse leaders as well as emerging nurse leaders that we are going to be listening to and just getting inspired. And I also want to welcome my own colleagues from Botswana, because being the Chancellor of the Open University of Botswana, I have actually invited quite a few of my colleagues because we want to do the same thing for our early career nurses and ensure that Botswana becomes that beacon of healthcare, universal health access, that we can be a showcase to the rest of Africa, but also to be able to collaborate with other African countries. So today, I'm glad we have mostly nurses from down under, my favorite place. We also have from Nepal, from Europe, so staying there. And please, we are going to have a little bit of quick Q&A, questions and comments. So you have the Q&A chat box, so do put whatever questions in there, and I'll try by all means to ensure that this time we have enough time to be able to get in there. So without much ado, we are going to have a video from our keynote speech by Carrie McCarthy, who is the technical officer for nursing and midwifery at the World Health Organization in Geneva. So over to you, Carrie.
Hi everyone, my name is Carrie McCarthy and I work at the World Health Organization headquarters in the Health Workforce Department, where I am the focal person for nursing and midwifery workforces. I'm grateful to the Nursing Now Challenge group for inviting me to say a few words to you today about the Global Strategic Directions for Nursing and Midwifery 2021-2025, which we call the Strategic Directions. These are a resource that WHO has developed since 2002 to provide countries with evidence-based policy options to enable nurses and midwives to maximally contribute in their service delivery settings and towards achieving universal health coverage. The current version of the strategic directions comprise a 5-year goal, a strategic direction, in 4 areas: the areas of education, jobs, leadership, and service delivery. And under each strategic direction are between 2 and 4 policy priorities, which, if enacted, could help countries achieve that 5-year goal or move along that strategic direction. The 12 policy priorities are equally applicable to nursing and midwifery, and they are intended to be widely applicable in most countries and contexts. These were developed through a long prioritization process with nursing leaders, as well as 10 global virtual consultation process, one of which was with Nursing Now young nurse and midwife leaders. So I'll give you an example of what some of the of a strategic direction and the policy priorities, and I'll start with education as an area this group might be particularly interested in. So the strategic direction in education is that midwife and nurse graduates match or surpass health system demand and have the requisite knowledge, competencies, and attitudes to meet national health priorities. And there are 4 policy priorities under this strategic direction. The first is align the levels of education programs with optimized roles for nurses and midwives in service delivery settings. The second is to optimize the domestic production. That means the number of graduates a country produces of nurses and midwives to meet or surpass health system demand. The third is about the quality of the education programs to ensure their competency base, that they apply effective learning design, meet quality standards, and align with population health needs. And the fourth is to invest in faculty to ensure that they are properly trained and supported and have clinical expertise in their content areas. Another example I think would be highly relevant to this group is leadership. The leadership strategic direction is to increase the proportion and authority of midwives and nurses in senior leadership and academic positions, health and academic positions, and to continually develop the next generation of nursing and midwifery leaders. So there's 2 policy priorities in this area. One is that senior nursing leadership position for nursing workforce governance and management and input into policy development, policy dialogue, at that national level. And the second is to invest in leadership skills development for nurses and midwives. So this is just an example. There's also the area of jobs with 4 policy priorities, and the area of service delivery, which essentially comprises professional regulation of midwives and nurses and the service delivery environment. So an enabling, safe, supportive environment, decent work, and all that entails. So what's important about these global strategic directions is that they were adopted by the World Health Assembly, so the gathering of health ministers that takes place every year. So they had never actually considered any iteration of the global strategic directions before. So they did consider this version and they adopted it, and they adopted it with a resolution on nursing and midwifery, and there has not been a resolution on nursing and midwifery in 10 years. So it's a really exciting moment for nursing and midwifery. We have a strong, clear global mandate for how to strengthen nursing and midwifery through these 12 policy priorities, and we have this traction that provides for advocating and advancing these policy priorities of the highest relevance in the country that you're in. So I hope you will check out the global strategic directions for nursing and midwifery 2021-2025 and the resolution with which they were adopted. These are both available on the WHO website. I hope the strategic directions will be useful to you in your contexts and your countries. If you have any questions or comments, you're welcome to get in touch with me. The Nursing Now Challenge organizers have my email. So I thank you for your time, and I wish you a great rest of your webinar. Thanks. Bye. Hi, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carrie. And indeed, this is really great. You have shared with us what has been decided and adopted by our leaders. So in fact, I'm also trying to really exhort all of us to say, let's look into that, because half the time we don't hold our leaders accountable. We have our ministers who have gone there and signed and agreed on this, those global strategic directions for the next 5 years. So it shouldn't take us another 4 years to be able to say, by the way, you agreed on this, it should be now. So please get to them, read about them. And once you mention the name WHO, just know that something is bound to happen. I used to do that when I was a minister. I could always dream up something. And if it was like, well, where did you get that? I say, well, WHO thinks it's okay. And indeed, that's like a Bible. They will take you. So with that, we want to thank our keynote speaker. But our next presentation is from our leaders themselves. we're going to be having great universities who will be telling us how they are investing in the next generation of nursing and midwifery leaders, so that they're sharing with us the leadership development programs. The first one is Dr. Rosie Knefsey, Head of School Nursing and Midwifery and Health, Coventry University. Although she is now former and setting up two, what should I say, two research sites that should be able to, two centers that should be able to share with us. So over to you, Dr. Rosie.
Thank you. So hello, everybody. It's really nice to be here. And I'll try to give you a snapshot of what we're doing here at Coventry. We only have a short time to talk, so I'll just give you some highlights. So I want to tell you a little bit about undergraduate nursing here in England at Coventry University, and then speak about how we're developing leadership in practice through the Centre for Care Excellence. And then I'll just quickly mention two projects we're doing with two of our global partners. So the first thing I want to tell you about is undergraduate nursing in England. In our university, you can do a degree in nursing. It takes 3 years, or you can do a master's in nursing to lead you to registration for 2 years. And in those courses, we really are focusing on developing the leadership skills of those graduates from day one, and the emphasis is on adult learning. It's about independence, it's about critical thinking and asking questions about what we're doing at all stages. So we're really trying to foster that sense of development and progress. We organise some of our modules with an inquiry-based or problem-based learning approach, and some of you will have heard about that. And that's really where the student is asked to solve the problem, to explore the topic and find out for themselves what it's all about. So it's really about focusing the development of thinking skills, and that's so important. But when we designed our curricula, we had two specific learning outcomes around leadership. The first one is to lead safe, compassionate and person-centred nursing care across the lifespan. And this is really about the nurse being the leader of patient care, who's very important in being an advocate for the patient, understanding what's going on there, coordinating the team and really speaking up for the patient's journey. And that's really at the individual level. And we're trying to develop the student skills from year one, when just a beginner and learning how to do things. When they graduate, they can lead on patient care and be very confident about their place in the multidisciplinary team. Now, the second learning outcome is about bigger populations. It's about services and how we can actually lead the improvement of services and improve the way we manage our teams and the services that we offer. And so it's really about the design and delivery of complex care packages and services. So this is bringing the leadership skills outwards, broadening them. Now, we really try to obviously teach about leadership, and we build that into all of our assessments, but we ask the students to practice their behavioural skills as well, and we assess students in different ways. So it's not just essays, it's not just exams. We ask students to do group projects, we ask them to stand up and present their work. We put on simulation activities where the students get to rehearse and practice their leadership skills. And this is really important for developing the ability to think independently. So that's a little bit about the undergraduate nursing, but I want to talk about the practice placement. So in our undergraduate nursing courses, we have a structure of theory modules and then practice placements that are around 12 weeks long. And our courses are designed on the basis of our regulator, so the Nursing and Midwifery Council, which sets the skills and proficiencies that nurses need. And those are played out in the practice placements. And we have established a developmental process through the placements, as you'd expect. So In year one, we understand that our students are developing the foundations of practice, and they're very much guided on how to provide nursing care and high standards in nursing care. But in second year, we're really trying to increase the students' level of responsibility and their ability to lead care. And so we're talking to them about how to manage their own patient group, how to manage their caseload, and really actively participate. By third year, it's about managing a caseload independently with very little supervision, because we really want to prepare our students for that level of responsibility and accountability when they graduate, because we know it's a steep learning curve when you actually qualify. So we're trying to prepare our students in that last year, particularly towards the second half. So obviously leadership is really important in undergraduate pre-registration education, but then we really want our students to come back and do a master's with us. And we have an online Masters in Nursing course. It's also delivered face-to-face. And actually on this slide, unfortunately you can't quite see it, there's a link to the open access module, but hopefully you'll be able to see that when the slides go around. But in the MSc Nursing, we have a module specifically about leadership, and thousands of nurses from across the globe have accessed this module because it is an open access module around leadership. And we explain about the theory and the style of leadership and how you might adopt different types of leadership power in different situations and different environments. But we also promote the notion of compassionate leadership, that it's really important to care about the people we lead and to think about their needs, their aspirations and their development. So values are really important in leadership. Obviously, the skills of leadership are quite broad, and everybody will be developing those through their education, but collaboration, communication, listening, problem solving, all of these aspects of leadership are important, and we develop them through this particular module. But that's not the end of the story, because when a nurse is working in practice, it's really important that we continue to develop that sense of empowerment, that within the multidisciplinary team, within the service that they work, that nurses have a role and a responsibility and an ability to lead practice. So we're very lucky here in the university, and one of our large hospitals nearby has really invested in developing excellence in practice. And the way that we're doing that is we've set up a Centre for Care Excellence, and this is about developing collaboration for education, practice development and research to really drive up excellence in what we're doing in our practice to impact on patient care. And in the Centre for Care Excellence, we've got 5 staff who are jointly appointed between the university and the hospital that are called clinical academics. And the role of the clinical academic is to work across the 2 organisations. And if you move to the next slide, Andrea, for me, you'll see here that it's about making a difference through research, practice and education to actually impact on patient care. Now, these are really exciting roles, and if you say, what does a clinical academic do? A lot of nurses might not know, and we really need to promote this idea that we need more clinical academics that work across the 2 organisations. And one of the things we're really trying to encourage is this enabled culture, so that we can start to ask questions about nursing practice. Why does this happen? What's going on here? How can we change this? What does the evidence say? Are we using the best evidence? So trying to develop leadership through education, through research, and taking that right back to the patient's experience. So I hope that we can make this centre bigger. Our ambition is to keep developing the Centre for Care Excellence, because it's only the beginning, actually, and it's a really important way of making a difference to patient care and enabling us to lead through our activities. So I want to just move on quickly because I don't want to take up too much time and to mention a couple of projects we're doing that relate to leadership in nursing. Through the Centre for Healthcare Research, we're doing a really interesting project with North Macedonia, which is about the reform of nurse education. In North Macedonia, nurses aren't able to do academic degrees and are blocked from teaching in faculty. And we're working with the ministers to look at how we can reform nurse education. So if there's anybody here from North Macedonia, a big hello to you, and keep going, because there's a really hardworking and active group of nurse leaders trying to make change and bring about change. The second project is a piece of work we're doing in Somaliland to try and develop midwifery practice with a wonderful lady called Edna Radan. And so if there's any midwives from Somaliland or nurses here on the call, a big hello to you as well. And what we want to do is support midwifery practitioners to meet the needs of women and to access education that they need on leadership and how to change practice. So just thought you might find it interesting to hear about those two projects. That's enough from me. Thank you ever so much. If anyone wants to get in touch, there's my email.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Rossi. And you've really enlightened us on especially those two projects. You know, the one in Macedonia, I'm hoping that, you know, North Macedonia can be able to share with quite a few countries, especially once it's said. But I like the fact that you talked about the open access to the, you know, to the model around leadership. And I'm hoping that, you know, a lot of our own participants can be able to access that. Especially exploring the various types of leadership, because sometimes we think democratic is the only way. But there have been times when I was a minister and I thought, on this one, I should really be an autocratic leader. For example, condoms in prison, where you're still, you know, conversing with people and they tell you no. And you know that the human rights don't allow for that. But anyway, but it's great. You've really shared a lot. I'm hoping that anybody, stay a little, because after Pokara presents, we may have some questions. Right now, there's no Q&A. So I just tarry a little bit, maybe 10 more minutes, so that we see if there's any question for you. Then I'll release you. That will be really great. So our next presenter is Professor Kylie Ward, who is the Chief Executive Officer, Australian College of Nursing. We are now going down under. Yes. So Professor Kylie, we are right there.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Sheila. I appreciate that. And it's a pleasure to be here speaking to everybody tonight. G'day from Australia. We are down under. And I'm here to share with you our Emerging Nurse Leader program, which is highly sought after and highly successful. And you will get to meet some of our emerging nurse leaders a little bit later in the program. So if we can move through to the next slide. The Australian College of Nursing is the national nursing the professional organisation, not industrial, within Australia. We represent at least about 150,000 members with our corporate and individual memberships. And we're also in collaboration with our nursing union in Australia, the member of the International Council of Nursing. And we're very proud of that. We are a college, we're a higher education provider. We've graduated tens of thousands of students just in the last couple of years with graduate certificates. And this year alone, we've had 150,000 students from all disciplines complete our immunisation or vaccination training that we've delivered on behalf of the government. So the student component, the accredited and the professional development is a very important part. But the Emerging Nurse Leader program sits in our Institute of Leadership and offers something a little bit different that's never before been offered in Australia. So I'll do it, I'll nod if that's all right, to keep moving with the slides, or I'll give a wave. So the Australian College of Nursing really, we're very proud to be the lead organisation for the Nursing Now Challenge. And so this is a beautiful and natural progression to then move forward into this next stage. We've had the Emerging Nurse Leader are we getting the nods to move the slides, or do you want me to, should I ask someone each time? I'll wave so I don't. The Emerging Nurse Leader program has been, will be in place for 10 years next year, but in 2016, we took it offline, we remodeled it, and I'm really proud. This is a program that I've put in place because we were previously to that had up to 5 people a year. And what I wanted to do was make sure that we could capture the emerging leaders coming into our profession and make a difference for the next generation. And so this program really supports the recognition and development of leadership skills. We know that that's not tied to a position, that's tied to an individual. And what we look to do is celebrate that at all stages throughout the career. We already focus on mid-career and executive and senior and registered people. So this was an important program to really highlight that leadership is something that we consider every nurse should be aspiring to. And if you don't have the natural skills and talents, you should be learning. Every nurse should be a leader, and we see that they are a leader. And how can we help to develop those leaders that really are above and beyond? It's a 9-month, it's an intensive program. It's not for the faint-hearted. And it really is a leadership journey of personal and professional growth and development. There's so many options, but it is tailored to the individuals because people are selected all throughout Australia in regional, rural areas, in the big cities, might be in aged care, primary care, or in the hospital or healthcare settings. And so it's not a one-size-fits-all. We do work very hard with our emerging nurse leaders to get them the best experience with wherever they are at in their career. So it really is designed not only to support people now, it's something that I never had, most of us have never had. We've probably had to self-navigate our own leadership in our careers. And instead of waiting for a point in time, we see that this is something that we give opportunities to really build professional profiles, networks, and provide opportunities that would never be available. You wouldn't have even been able to look into a window to the type of opportunities that are given to our emerging nurse leaders. And this really is breaking the habits. It's reframing and creating transformation in our profession so that we can invest now in leaders early in their career to really take healthcare forward. We do know that when nurses lead, organisations follow. And so this is an investment in the leaders of now and the future. Next slide, please. There's 5 stages to our Emerging Nurse Leader program, and we start with the first stage being undergraduate. So those in the final years of their study get to apply for the program, and that's in the learn stage. And then we work each stage through to 6th year. So first, second and third. And if you get in at one stage, it's not guaranteed you'll be part of the program. We are looking for high achievers, and we're looking for people who are prepared to commit each year. So every year students will be able to participate. We have 50 in the registered nurse and undergraduate category, and for our enrolled nurses, we have 2 tiers of nursing in Australia. We have 10, 2 in each program. And next year, we're going to secure places for, at least in each one of these areas, 1 Aboriginal and 1 Torres Strait Islander nurse will be quarantined, so we can really invest in our First Nations future nurses in a very specific way. So throughout the year, there's up to 60 nurses, and they do have to achieve each year to be acknowledged and get their certificates of achievement, but then reapply to get into the next year. So we're only just in the next year or two be able to honour those that have actually been through the full 5 years of the program. And I'll move to the next slide. We can answer any questions on these later. The opportunities I mentioned are very varying. The emerging nurse leaders do need to submit work and commit to different there's a structured program, but the opportunities will look different depending on where they are at what stage and the opportunities that come up in any given year. But it's very important for me that everybody understands that it is every person's birthright to have a voice, to have a purposeful professional career and personal career, and to be given as many opportunities as anyone can, and to be able to take. So they don't have to stay with the pack or feel that their only opportunities are through their employer. As a college, we give many opportunities. They will they'll be published, they'll get speaking opportunities. Some here tonight are having international opportunities. I know Hayley did media with me a couple of weeks ago. We last week had a summit where the Minister for Health, the federal minister, came and spoke to us. They get VIP invitations to different events, and when we're out on the road. So there'll be some things that all of them share, and others that, depending on what they're interested in, they can join policy chapters, develop papers in different ways, or maybe even get an access to education. It's the language is very important. So we never use the word junior nurse. And this isn't about age, this is about stage of career. So we're very important that we lead with diversity and inclusion. And this is about a person's stage of their career, not age. And certainly the word junior I have removed from the Australian College of Nursing's whole dialect, because I think that keeps people small when some people think they're senior to a junior. So you will hear us use early career or emerging nurse leader to a leader, rather than any old sort of hierarchical language. Some of the benefits of the program, we have our National Nursing Forum every year. It's a big event. It is the event, the signature event for the year, and they get their full registration for that. Full mentoring and support from fellows and members that are very senior and experienced. If we know that somebody wants to work in paediatrics or in a specialty area, we'll tee them up either by location or by that individual. So some of our emerging nurse leaders have gone on to then have academic careers or work with politicians. I'm very proud of the diversity in the range. We want to break down stereotypes. And one of the most important things is that there's no rite of passage to who becomes a nursing leader, but traditionally it's been really only through a clinical path. And if we think about, I'm not sure in other countries, but I know in Australia, we have tens of thousands of graduates of law degrees, and not every one of those will prosecute or defend in a court of law, but that degree is highly valued and highly sought after. And we want to do the same for the value of a nursing qualification, that the value for social impact and the contribution that somebody who has studied nursing can make in any area within health or in educational broader industries should be valued. And so I'm really excited to see more diversity about where career paths are taking off. They certainly get media, we profile, we support them, we do a lot of grooming around their reputation and their professional presence, those VIP speaking events and invitations. And we really look to knock down the barriers. When I was growing up in nursing, you would never approach someone senior, and they never approached us, to be honest. But we've broken down all of those barriers so that we're really connecting early career people with senior career people, and it's good for both. I think that every person who is in a senior position or over 40 needs to be mentored by a millennial, and I think that whilst not every emerging nurse leader is a millennial, it's the combinations of people at different ages or stages or diverse backgrounds that really helps build relationships, learn understanding. So we have volunteers who mentor and coach, and they get just as much out of it as do the emerging nurse leaders themselves. Next slide, please. These is just a really small selection. When we're out meeting ministers and chief nursing and midwifery officers or different politicians, we always make sure that we have our tribe with us. So that's very important. And the program is highly sought after. We would get, we can get over 1,000 expressions of interest in a year. We only take those 50. Not everybody makes it through. It's pretty tough and things happen along the way, which is absolutely understandable. But I've always said that we turn away exceptional people. So for those that get into the Emerging Nurse Leader program, upon selection, which is quite a rigorous process from our fellows of the college, go through the applications, we're really looking for those standout people. Next slide, please. These are just some of the reflections, some of the comments.
Is that the last one, Kate?
Next one. Yeah, this is. Ooh.
Okay. I'm running out of time. Yeah, you have like
Yeah, if
2
you move
minutes.
through quicker, if you just go through, we can read those later then, and I'll just get to the last slide. Next one. So the most important people, the one before that, please. I'll try and do my own next time, that might save us. So the most important thing for us is the people that actually run the program. And so Steph Dosen is absolutely key to the success of the program, and Sue Hogan, and that's like any team. So I certainly want to give a shout out, because without their leadership and investment, we wouldn't get the success that we have. And we see that this should really be a program that is delivered globally. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Kylie. And you really emphasize the importance of the triad in the Emerging Nest Leader Program. And of course, I like that tweet. I'm hoping somebody has tweeted it. When nests lead, organizations follow. I like that. And I must end up by saying that the only regret I have as co-chair of the Nesting Now campaign has been the fact that I was not able to visit you down under and be able to really do what I did last time in Canberra. So, but however, now as the champion of the Nesting Now Challenge, I'm hoping that I will have that opportunity to be able to come over, pay a visit, and just be able to bask in that glory of knowing that there are leaders out there who are doing great things. So, Dr. Rosie, now I can, release you. So, Professor Kylie, maybe not, I'll release you next time. I'm not seeing any Q&A, and I want to remind people that please post your comments on the Q&A. Otherwise, on the chat, do tell us who you are on the chat, and so that we have an idea who the participants are and where they come from. The diversity is just so welcoming. So my most favorite place, Nepal. We have now Sharada Sharma, a lecturer at Pokhara Nursing Campus. So she's going to tell us what they're doing in the beautiful country of Nepal. Over to you, Sharada.
Thank you so much, Professor Sheila. Respected professors, panelists, experts, and all the participants of this webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Namaste from Nepal. Thank you so much. It's our great pleasure to participate and share our experiences about our telenursing program with you in this great platform. Thank you so much. Now I would like to start my presentation. Please, next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. Let's start with the introduction. Please back to the first slide. Okay. COVID-19 COVID-19, which was declared as a pandemic, became a global health problem till date. Nepal is not an exception. In developing countries like Nepal, we have limited resources and health facilities to deal with the pandemic. Next, please. Public awareness, early identification of the cases and symptoms management is essential to minimize morbidity and mortality associated with the COVID-19. Therefore, Pokhara Nursing Campus, in collaboration with Gandaki Province Health Directorate Office, started Gandaki Telenursing Program from 13 June 2021. Under this program, a total of 27,559 COVID-19 positive cases who had been living in home isolation have been benefited till 26 August 2021. Next, please. With the aim of with the aim to assess the health condition of COVID-19 cases in home isolation, to provide necessary advice and counseling to the COVID-19 patients living in home isolation, and to minimize the delay in seeking and reaching as well as receiving health care, we started this program. Okay, next please. Regarding the activities, in this telenursing program, 100 undergraduate and postgraduate nursing students were involved from the Pokhara nursing campus. List of positive cases including name, mobile number, and address were provided by the Office of Health Directorate, Gandaki province. The telenurses are involved in counseling, referral, and rescuing the serious cases. We as a faculties have acted as a liaison between the students and Health Director Office of Gandaki province. Next, please. We regularly discussed about the telenursing through a virtual meeting through Zoom and Teams with the assigned students, and created a platform to share their experiences and face the problems. This was the very fruitful program for the students as well as we faculties. Patients with COVID-19 shared issues regarding the psychosocial and financial aspects too. We sought the solution to these issues through virtual meeting with technical team of the Health Directorate. Next, please. Regarding the benefit of the program, as a faculty members, we feel proud to be a part of telenursing with this voluntary participation. Faculties have given their continuous efforts to successfully run this program. This voluntary work has given us sense of satisfaction and identity to contribute to entire community, which was not possible through the confined role in academic and clinical setting. Similarly, next please. This program has also enhanced the leadership abilities of the faculties through experiences of continuous mentorship, guidance, and supervision of the students, and their supportive role in helping the students deal with issues of the patients under care. Next, please. Benefit for the students. This program has developed the communication, motivation, counseling, and leadership skills among the students of undergraduate as well as graduate students. Students felt very proud to serve the communities through this telenursing program during this global pandemic. Benefit to the patients. The concept of patient participation in care is itself a very effective step in curing the illness. Patients from different geographical area and economic background were able to get the service through telenursing program. The health system of Nepal was not adequate to provide the health services to the COVID-19 patients in the health settings. This program played a vital role to provide the health care from the health professionals to those patients at their own setting. This has highly reduced the physical, psychological, as well as financial strain on the patients. Next, please. The achievement from this program, what we achieved from the Nursing Now Challenge program is it offers an opportunity to be a part of a global movement to support nurses as leaders, practitioners, and advocates in health. Nursing Now Challenge has provided a social platform that has allowed us to connect with nurses globally. Really, it's a very big and very beneficial program for us. Nursing Now has enabled sharing of ideas and our experiences that promotes collaboration and creates networks that can be used for mutual support. This can be used to strengthen the voice of nurses and midwives regionally, globally, and enhance the leadership among the nurses. In Nepal, telenursing is an innovative practice, and we are happy to share our experiences of providing services to patients in home isolation in Nursing Now Challenge. We would be benefited if we get regular support from this platform in the area of promoting, developing nursing leadership, as well as research too. Next, please. We will be benefited if we are provided with the opportunity to take part in its expert-led webinars, which addresses many diverse themes and issues related to the nursing. It is a great opportunity for our organization to be a part of a great global movement to develop nursing leadership. Pokhara Nursing Campus acknowledges Nursing Now Challenge program for this opportunity. Next, please. These are some snaps that were conducting the meeting of telenursing program through Teams. The next, please. This also the Teams meeting. We categorize the COVID cases in Cat 1, Cat 2, and Cat 3. This is the view of Mountain Fistale from our campus, Pokhara Nursing Campus. This is all about the presentation. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is really a great sharing of leadership development in telenursing during the time of COVID-19. And really best practice that can be shared globally. So I'm glad of the emphasis for nursing challenge, or especially at global health level. And we're hoping that we will have opportunities to collaborate with other nurses and midwives in other countries. So thank you very much with that. And with that, I think Professor Kylie, I can now release you, but Professor Sharada, stay on for a while, especially since you do have a student who will be presenting. So that would really be great. So thank you so much. Yes. Okay, now we get into a very exciting part, one that excites me because we are now dealing with, wow, the leaders, the emerging leaders. And somebody said, nobody should be called a junior nurse. That military thing ended with the Crimean War, and we should really let it stay like that. You know, we should have emerging nurse leaders, or, you know, practicing nurses or experienced, but definitely not junior, senior. That kind of, you know, hierarchy doesn't do well in our healthcare settings, especially since the so-called junior nurses are more savvy than us. They can tweet, they can WhatsApp, they can, you know, do anything that a lot of the so-called senior nurses can do. So with that, I'm getting in that group of emerging nurse leaders. The first one is Diane Hart. They are really going to share with us, you know, what does leadership look like to you? So great leaders, you have only like 3 to 4 minutes, but tell us in a nutshell, what does leadership look like to you? So Diane Hart, for University of Edith Kawan, I'm starting with you from down under. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to talk leadership and to express what leadership means to me. Hopefully you can hear me without any interruptions. My internet is not brilliant. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you okay. If we don't, you can switch off your video. But for now, you look wonderful, so we're gonna see you. So go on.
Okay. So I think leadership means to me, I think leadership starts with the self and understanding what's important to us. It's about our values and kind of like how we put that into professional practice. So I'm quite a passionate person about what I do, everything I do, and I like to do things properly. I want to be a good nurse. So in professional practice, I try to work within, I do work within organisational policy and exercise our professional standards outlined by APRA, and trying to just be visible doing the right thing. I think in doing so, it helps with your own critical thinking and your decision-making skills. For example, when you're in a tricky situation and you're not sure what to do, even as a patient care assistant, what I'm doing now, or as a student nurse, or later as a more experienced nurse, if you exercise good practice based on your own standards, you'll always fall back on that and avoid making bad decisions and shortcuts. So that's what's quite important to me in being a good leader. And I think in doing so, you can't not help empower others. People come to me all the time at work, personal and professional life, and ask for advice on different things and my opinion, because they know that they're going to get a non-judgmental, honest response. If it's a clinical thing, then I will refer them to somebody that is probably more qualified to answer the question. But they know they've got that support from me. I think by understanding our values and empowering others to do the right thing, like if they see me doing exercise in best practice, they do the same thing. And you can't not end up becoming a mentor in the workplace. And I think if you're a mentor, you need to be mentored yourself. And that's one of my reasons for being an E&L, part of the Emerging Leadership Program, because I get to share with other emerging leaders such as Hayley and Kate, and take inspiration from them. But also in the workplace, if I'm not sure about anything or I need to know something, I've identified somebody that has a nurse that has a really good patho knowledge, and she will help me with that. And somebody else that has a really good application of a particular thing, like it might be a stoma care or something, because there have been a stoma nurse, then I'd ask them. So I take my mentorship. I'm also mentored as well, outside of work and at work. I think, all nurses, we are leaders. That's what we do. We have to critically think, we have to problem solve, we have to troubleshoot all the time. That's part of what we do. And we do that because we want to do the best, provide the best care for our patients. We want to be the advocate for our patients, and be their person, be their go-to. I can't think of anything more beautiful than when the patient leaves the hospital and they say, "Oh, I'm so pleased to be going home, but I've had the best care." I mean, at the moment, I'm a part of that care as an interdisciplinary team and multidisciplinary team member. But what I'm really looking forward to when I actually get into the workplace is when I've been that nurse, and I know that's because I've done my best for that patient, that they've left feeling better than when they come in, and I know that my skills that I'm exercising every single day will impact other nurses, and they will do the same thing. So I think it's important now to stand together as nurses, now more than ever, because I know that there's a gap right now between academic learning and actual application of clinical practice. And that's due to COVID-19, because for me and my university, some of us haven't had adequate placements, and some of us have placements cut short. Some of us have back-to-back placements, so by the time we get to the second one, we're exhausted. And I know a lot of students are worried about their clinical knowledge and their application of clinical skills. So I think by being a leader, which is what we are as nurses, and emphasising mentorship and being a mentor in the workplace, we stand together and we stand strong and support each other. So that's essentially what leadership means to me. Hopefully I haven't talked too long.
Great, thank you very much. And your video held on, so we are perfect. Yes, you've really demonstrated the importance of beginning that leadership journey before you even begin, practicing. And it's really great. And you talked about being a role model. Being a role model is not easy. I mean, people just say the way it's not easy, because everything that you do, you want to do it perfectly, because somebody's watching you and is going to emulate you. So keep up the great work, and we will be right there with you. So the next person, who is now from Notre Dame University of Notre Dame, is Kate Chong, who is going to share with us her leadership journey. Kate, over to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here today. Before I start, I would just like to show my respect for the traditional custodians of the land from which I'm joining you here today in Sydney, Australia, which is the Wallumbdedagal people of the Eora Nation. Now, in terms of what leadership looks like to me, I had two, main themes that I wanted to talk about, and the first was authenticity. I think, influential leaders, the people that I've been lucky to be surrounded with in the Emerging Nurse Leader program at the College of Nursing, are authentic. They show up as who they are, warts and all, but they show up. And that is the kind of leadership that I believe encourages others to do exactly the same. And really fosters the connection, which is so important in our profession. I think it's inherent to what we do, but also something that has been so hard for a lot of us during COVID-19 is maintaining connection with each other. And importantly, I think also that connection is something that really strengthens our profession. So the second thing as well is then also fostering where our leaders foster a culture that supports and encourages learning and continuous improvement. It's that, as Diane mentioned, that reflection on ourselves, on each other, but in a supportive way that really pushes us all forward, enables us to be our best, to give our best, but also to not rest on our laurels. As Carly said as well, in terms of there are no, junior and senior nurses. We all have a lot to offer in different perspectives. Personally, I come from I spent 15 years in investment banking before I decided to save my soul and become a nurse. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to contribute to my community and society. But I also have a lot of things to bring, and the relationships that, sort of these leadership programs have enabled me to develop, the mentoring relationships, formal and informal, but also just the opportunity to share those skills and transfer things across into nursing, which I think mean that, we'll all benefit from. And I also obviously benefit from, learning from these amazing, inspiring nurses around me who challenge me and allow me to, through this network, explore these pathways that I wouldn't have known were possible. So it's been a fantastic journey with the College of Nursing and this Emerging Nurse Leader program, and programs like it, Centres of Excellence, are so exciting for nurses who are coming through the ranks.
Great, thank you very much, Kate. And you look like you are from outer space. I like that background. It's really great.
Well, it's a global challenge, so I thought I would stick with the theme.
Well, you're talking about authenticity, and I'm thinking, how authentic is that? She is from Oak, and so it's really great. But I like that emphasis on being authentic and really learning broadly. So with that, let me see who our next presenter is. Thank you very much. We give you a hand. Our next presenter is Hayley Pollock from Swinburne University of Technology. So Hayley, we are over and listening to you.
Great, thank you so much, Sheila. And I'm also coming from Australia, from Melbourne, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land that I'm dialing in from, which is the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I'm also an ENL, an Emerging Nurse Leader with Kylie. So some of my ideas about leadership might echo what Di and Kate have shared already. But when I look at what leadership has meant to me, it's been about being a fierce advocate. And I know that globally, we talk about being an advocate for your patient as a nurse, and that's really important. But I think to be an effective leader, you actually need to be an advocate for yourself as well. I know going in as a newer nurse and on placement, it can be really hard to find that voice and even to escalate concerns. But being able to lead and have that confidence and self-assurance that your voice does matter, and you need to be able to hold yourself in a room and be heard when there are things that need to be said. That doesn't mean that as the newest member of the team, you're necessarily right all of the time. But nursing is about learning, and to be part of an active learning culture, you need to be able to lead others and share knowledge. Another important thing that a mentor through ENL taught me was that leadership doesn't necessarily need to equate to management. I think amongst my peers at uni, there's a big misconception that to be a leader, you need to be a nurse unit manager or you need to be a nurse in charge of a shift. But all nurses are educators. We spend so much time learning about how to convey information to our patients in a meaningful way or amongst our colleagues. But it doesn't have to be just managers that do that. To lead your patients to make good health decisions and to lead your team to make effective decisions when caring for patients, you need to be able to understand that they are leadership qualities and it doesn't need to be synonymous with management. And I think you've got to lead yourself and you've got to be driven, and starting that so early on in my career, it's such a privilege to have such a great organization in ACN behind me to develop those skills. And I just hope that it's only the beginning, and as nursing progresses and as we come out of the pandemic, those leadership skills will help as we start to be registered nurses in only a few weeks.
Yes, thank you very much. And congratulations, just a few weeks, and you'll be right there. And but
Thank you.
already we have an assertiveness leader who is right there, who is able to look at the rights of others, but also look out for number one, be an advocate for yourself first. Be assertive and know that you have the right to learn. And in fact, yeah, that's what it's all about. So thank you very much and best of luck. Yes.
Thank you, Sheila.
So yes, the next person is a male. I love men in nursing. The male is Ernest Lamuel, and he's from Tenka Muhabir College of Nursing.
I'm
So
seeing you trying to speak out the name of my college. It is Tirthankar Mahavir College of Nursing. Yes, it's a Jain, university. So there are like 14, 15 colleges in the university. So nursing is one of the college over there. So hi everyone. Again, this is Ernest Lamuel, MSc Nursing, final year student from Mental Health Nursing Department. And first of all, I would like to express how blessed and honored I am to be here, because actually I'd like to mention I was very emotional yesterday with my mother that I am having this first great opportunity where I'll be speaking in front of so many big people, and you know how populated India is, and that kind of competition, and then having this opportunity. This is something that I never even believed I would be, even at such a young age, or technically I'm a student, so very impossible to have this kind of opportunity as a student. But thank you, Nursing Now Challenge, and thank you everyone for having me. So yes, I'll take the question if there are any.
well, thank you very much, Ernest. Just know that, you know, as somebody said, there are no big people. We are all big people, and we have a lot to learn from you. So continue with that journey, especially in mental health nursing, because, you know, the COVID pandemic has really shown us how the psychosocial issues are important, not just to families and communities, but to the nurses and other health professionals. So keep it up and find a niche in there for yourself, and do all you can in terms of research and publications, and you'll be right there. So with that, let me wish you all the best of luck final year. And
thank you so much.
Thank you,
thank you so much.
Okay, and now we're going on to Chloe Scott from University of Southampton. So Chloe, we are with you.
Hi Sheila, I think Chloe's having some technical difficulties, so maybe we'll just move on to the next speaker.
Okay, so while we're waiting for Chloe, we'll now take Kamala Nuve from Pakara Nursing Campus. We had listened to Sharada, who I'm sure is still around for her students. So Kamala, we are right there with you.
Okay,
so,
thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Good morning, good evening, and namaste from Nepal. I am a student, master first year student of Pokhara Nursing Campus, and I have 15 years career experience as a clinical nurse in Nepal. But now I want to share my recent experience on telenursing program and COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for this opportunity. In my opinion, leadership means maintain optimum quality standard at all times and maintain evidence-based practice within nursing team by critical thinking process. I think, in my opinion, this is the leadership quality. And As a telenursing program, it's my great opportunity to serve the people through telenursing program who were physically as well as mentally disturbed and fear of separations and death during these pandemic situations. So I think this program was obviously benefit for the client of COVID-19 positive who were in home isolations at that time. Beneficials in the sense, it helps to develop the concept of patient participations in cure, and geographical barriers does not affect, so that the patient have increased access to nursing care at that time. And such voluntary work has given me a sense of pride and identity in our entire community, something which was not quite possible through a fixed role in a clinical setting, which I was experienced since 15 years. And so I think the telenursing program is important in this digital era to develop, provide holistic and autonomous nursing care, ensuring patient-centered care, and expand the scope of nursing practice also. And this great opportunity helped me to develop my leadership skill and quality by the process of decision making and assessment of the client through the telephone communications, and the sense of practical and independency also. So I am really proud to be a nurse, and really proud to be a nurse. It helps me to make decision making, how to make decisions and how to quick decisions about the client when they are staying in home isolations. So thank you so much for this opportunity and platform. Thank you all. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kamala. I'm hoping that part of what you are going to be documenting will be the lived experience of these patients and how they feel to be able to, at least in that isolation, be able to talk to somebody and really get that comfort from having somebody talk to them, because sometimes they are very isolated. So let me be the first one to ask you a question. I mean, the telenursing program, you are all talking about it as if it was something like in the past. Is it still continuing, or is the COVID situation in Nepal that has gone down now that there's no need for that?
Yes, ma'am. This program was first program launched in our Nepal with the joint assembly of our Pokhara nursing campus and the Ministry of Health and Populations. We are really experienced this type of program in first time, and this program was still continue with a COVID client.
I see. That's great. So we have a lot to learn from it, and I'm hoping that people will be able to post in some questions and be able to really learn a lot. Now, let's see, do we have any questions for the speakers? Because they are right here. Post them in the Q&A as quickly as we can, because I'm seeing the chat is fine. Okay, so, Chloe Scott is not here. Mm-hmm. In which case, do we have some questions? I mean, some time for questions, but I'm not seeing any that have been put in the Q&A. So I take it, but I have my colleagues, Botswana and Basotho, guy, because from here I'm going to be on your necks to say, let's see what's happening. I know we have people from Botswana, we have people from Lesotho in here. So do ask those questions, because I'm going to Lesotho in 3 weeks' time, and I'll be right there with you.
Sheila, it's Lisa here. I mean, thank you for your superb chairing and listening to the voices. It's so powerful. One burning question I've got that I'd love our early career nurses to tell me about is, what do you think keeps nurses nursing? How can we keep nurses nursing? Because it really mortifies me when I look at the statistics of the amount of nurses and midwives that qualify but don't stay, or qualify and don't even practice. So what are the things we need to do to help keep you practicing? Because you are so brilliant, and the things that you've said are just so wonderful. You've clearly had super education. What do we need to do to fortify that and sustain it as we go into really complicated times with healthcare delivery? Because it's not easy, we know that.
Okay, great. Okay, Imagine leaders, the question is there, how do we retain you in nursing?
I can
And-
start off speaking to that.
That's right.
So as Kylie talked about, we had a national policy summit in Australia last week, and I attended that as part of the student focus group. And I know I've had a lot of conversations with Kate as well about how we can do better to keep nurses in, because you're right, they do tend to disappear. And I think there is a label that it's almost a default that people go, oh, they're burnt out. It's the system. But that might be true. There definitely are elements of burnout, but wouldn't it be amazing if we could create an environment where every single nurse felt that their voice mattered globally, and they weren't just a number and one of the biggest health professionals out of the cohort in the world. Nurses are important, and yes, we make up a huge group, but within that group, there are some people with pretty special ideas, and we need to make space for them to have their voices heard. I think the other part that I took away from our National Policy Summit is that we need to provide tangible support to our nurses. So whether that be looking at listening to what they want from their workplace and allowing them to have flexibility in where they choose to work. I know here we're having a big vaccine rollout, and nurses are going there to do vaccinations, but they might want to stay in the acute system, or perhaps on the opposite of that, they're being viewed as so highly trained in, say, ICU or another critical care area that they're being put there and they may not feel safe. They have their own health concerns. So creating a bit of flexibility within the workforce and allowing nurses to make decisions. It's like if you're, as Kate was, an investment banker, you choose where you want to work, and there needs to be that flexibility in nursing, I think, across the world.
Fantastic, Kaylee. And Sheila, I don't know what your reflection and our other sort of
Yes.
senior leaders think to that, but they sound very doable, don't they? We can do this. They're none of those things you said, Hayley, are not possible.
And it was amazing at the National Summit that it was really echoed by these really senior people who provide advice to government, like Kylie, that, you know, as someone who's so early on in the career, I was already seeing that those changes are happening. But I agree, Lisa, I think they are really, they're little things, but they make a huge difference.
Yes. Yeah, I think she's right. That flexibility in the workforce is very important. And I've seen that flexibility at two levels. One, at the level of care, where sometimes, you know, I've seen even in my own areas where somebody could even be interested in pediatric nursing and actually pursue pediatric nursing. But when they come back from training, they are put in some medical surgical place, and you're thinking, what are they doing there? So that sometimes it's that placement that, you know, frustrates you, or being told that the only space we have for you for specialization, especially for senior nurses, is this, and that's not your area. And I usually say a lot of our nurse leaders, sometimes I see them concentrating a lot on clinical, you know, nursing, and almost like making sure that the students are compacted into clinical nursing. And I say, look, health starts at family and community level. Hospitals are for repairs. So ensure that we expand nursing and be able to nurse everywhere. That's why even for the Sustainable Development Goals, we know the health and well-being one is Sustainable Development Goal 3, but nursing is important in all the 17 goals. And therefore, we should be having a nurse in poverty alleviation, in ending hunger, in gender equality, in all of those. And that's how we explore our abilities. It would really be great one day for, you know, for the Sustainable Development Goal of life under the sea, to have somebody who's saying, I'm right here, I'm specializing in this, and I am a nurse. So it would really be great. We need to be that flexible in our profession. Yeah. So let's hear about the others, what they're saying. I'm more interested in Ernest, you know, Lamlen, being our male. What do you think will retain you, Ernest?
Actually, I would like to express very honest opinion on this. I don't know if this is known to other countries or not, but in India, actually the thing is that India is divided into two parts, government and private. and in both the areas nurses are mistreated, and mistreated in terms of, first of all, we need to talk about salary. What happens when the pandemic hit the world? Nurses are the ones who were working day and night. I have seen what nurses have been through, and what they have sacrificed their even lives to save the patients. It has been done that in other countries I've seen that nurses are paid more, like bonus money or some kind of like gratitude has been expressed to them. But in India, certain amount of salary was deducted from their account, from their monthly salary, even if they're in private sectors or government sectors. Let's not even talk about what the salary wages are in private sectors. You will never believe it is. Calculated, and I talked to one of my friend in UK, and and they asked me that how much do nurses get in India. Let me tell you, the salary of Indian nurses in private sector is only $100 per month. $100, $120, which is very unacceptable. And in when the pandemic hit us, the fresher, the BSc nursing fresher was offered 18,000 rupees per month. But then when the pandemic hit, that deducted to 12,000. Now that the world needed nurses, and the world needed hands to work, and when, for example, any person in nursing, when they entered the professional life, so when they see that the level of nursing is degrading, why would they want to continue? So first and foremost is the the food we eat. That is the most important basic humanistic need that we have in our lives. And then when nurses are working day and night, double shift, triple shift, and then what they're getting, only scraps of money. And then they are like, literally I've seen like thousands and thousands of my known nurses that they have resigned. At some point of time, there were more than 1,000 number of nurses at the hospital. But when the pandemic hit us, and then when they start reducing the salary, then they resigned. And on what cost uh, they were like frontline nurses. So on what cost they were giving their life? Not even they're getting money. And for example, my mother has started her 36th year of her career. She'll be getting retired next year. She's working as a chief nursing superintendent. That's the highest the designation in nursing that we have in India, the matronship. Even my mother told me that since the pandemic hit the world, the Indian government has started reducing 10 to 15,000. I'm not complaining, I'm just expressing that what it's been. And I that's impartiality. The nurses, the amount of nurses that they have been offered, like 6 to 12 of my known, whether they have pursued bachelor's in nursing, whether they have pursued master's of nursing, they've all moved to NHS UK. Even I am also planning to move to London. My sister moved to London last month only. So let me tell you, the one of my sister is working in India. She is getting 30,000 rupees per month, and the other one is getting 300,000 rupees. Just to like compare the salary wages on an international. See, some kind of difference is understandable, and yes, we can understand the life is expensive in other countries. But 10 times difference between the salary wages and the education, both of them, Maima and Sharon, both of them has pursued the same education, the same qualification, and same number of experience. But this kind of impartiality that we have experiencing in India is making us leave, not at least not in India, but leaving the nursing profession as a whole.
Okay.
So this is a
Yeah.
major issue that I wanted to address on an international
Okay.
level, that we need to work on this, and we need to appreciate and give gratitude to the nurses, that they are sacrificing their life, their everything for the patients, and then what they are getting in return. So this was a major issue that I wanted to address. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ernest. So it really needs, but you see, I mean, we could debate that and say, but is walking away the best solution? Or can we utilize what's in the country to be able to advocate for better working conditions for nurses and and midwives? Because what I found in my experience, even as a Minister of Health, has been that sometimes people think they are going for greener pastures, only to find that the manure that's fertilized in those green pastures is not tolerable. So, they're not treated in a good manner, and therefore they end up saying, now I want to come back home. And when they come back home, the attitude of those at home is not favorable either. It's like, what the hell were you doing out there? So maybe we need to use what we have. The State of the World Nursing Report and the current Nursing Now Challenge are really the things that we should be able to do, to use, to advocate for better working conditions overall, whether it's housing, transportation, salaries and everything. And indeed, for India has just vaccinated over 1 billion people. That's something, to me, that's a ladder that nurses should take up, because they are the ones responsible for that kind of vaccination. And to be able to say to the Prime Minister, to the President, look what we can do when we are well motivated. We can do even more. We can vaccinate the whole of India if we were even more motivated. So anyway, thank you very much for sharing with us, but I'm sure a lot of you have that same experience. So I now have a question from one of my favorite people in Botswana, Montanyane Madise. She is saying, I'm interested in the Nation Leadership Program presented by Dr. Gnepsi. I wanted to find out if her university is available to provide technical support to colleges and universities in the development and management of online nursing programs. So I don't know if Professor Nossi, are you around? Rosie?
Hello.
Okay.
That was a question for me, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yes,
we really enjoy working with collaborators to develop education programs to help individual groups or organizations to develop the best program for their people in their context. Obviously, we have lots of programs here at the university, and some of them are online, and many resources are online and can be shared. But we also do work with people who contact us to help shape new programs and help develop them. And the work in North Macedonia is about doing that, not about giving our programs and saying, here, have ours, because our programs won't work in North Macedonia. The needs are different, the population's different, the systems are different, but we do lots of facilitation to help to develop curricula. And we use a methodology called the sprint methodology, and you can develop a program very quickly using the sprint methodology in around 5 days of workshop activity where you co-create together to come to a shared understanding of what's needed. I hope that's helpful. I'm not sure who asked the question.
It was from Botswana, but I'm sure it's helpful. They'll be able to get in touch because it's from the Open University, where I'm the Chancellor. So you'll be able to hear from you, definitely.
Okay, lovely.
Sheila, there's Kate on the panel's quite got some thoughts as well that she's just posted. Kate, do you want to come in about retention?
Sure. I mean, I had my hand up before just about the question about retaining nurses. So from my perspective, and I guess, it is from, say, your average as a mature age student, it's different world experience, but I think for a lot of it, obviously there's some societal issues as well as some stuff we can address within the healthcare industry. So ultimately, though, I think it comes down to feeling respected and valued. And certainly, there is, regardless of what country you're in, I think there's always a conversation about pay that's appropriate to skill levels and to the personal and professional risk that we undertake as nurses. What I think we can address, I guess, on a day-to-day basis, because obviously they're very large and difficult questions and to fix is that support that we can get from our colleagues as we enter the workforce. Now, there are lots of different transition programs, for example, in Australia, that typically we're pushed down this path of you will go acute hospital nursing and you will go into a transition program. Unfortunately, it's not always what it's sold as in terms of the levels of support that we actually need. So we need more than tick box exercises. We need that real coaching, that genuine engagement to allow us to develop, particularly where you're in a university system and we may not have had the same opportunities to develop clinically as programs have in the past. So we need that opportunity to really be supportive and not just in paper. And as well, I think it was something Kylie mentioned as well, being able to be exposed to the different pathways. Nursing is not just hospital nursing, and definitely it's not for everybody. Bedside nursing, hospital nursing is not for everybody, and it's I can say now it's not going to be for me. And I feel I can have a great impact by being involved in research and clinical trials, and hopefully that shapes policy, that shapes it shapes practice, and I can do it that way. But even now, there's this legacy, well, you're not a real nurse unless you're at the hospital. And that's not right, and it's not fair, and it's very discouraging. And also the visibility of these pathways outside of the standard and typical path is not easy to find. And I was just lucky enough that between some mentors that I have, some other health industry contacts, and now through the College of Nursing, that I've had this world open to me and the network open to me. And it saddens me as well seeing a lot of my fellow recent graduates and ones who are going out to the workforce terrified that this standard pathway set up for them is not for them. And I worry that they're the ones we'll lose. So they need to be supported. They need to be invested in to develop, because they have a place. It just may not be the one, that you had in mind for them. So, you need to give them that opportunity to discover that. And that's where I think these leadership programs come in and transition programs come in, but they do need to be more than just tick box exercises.
Yes, that's true. Well, we are coming to the end of our place. Let's give ourselves a hand. Woo, 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 woo. We have done very well. This has been a great conversation. And I know the Nursing Now Challenge is giving us impetus and maybe ideas for future topics that we want to explore. So I want to thank each and every one of you for the great ideas that you've been able to share, and to say it's a learning curve. We are all in it together. So because we're also down under, I want to thank the traditional custodians of the land, our ancestors, and I'm going to now hand over to Professor Lisa to be able to close this session. Thank you very much, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you
so much. Over to you, Lisa.
Well, thank you so much, Sheila. Just such an amazing individual. And if you talk about how to influence, how to stay at nursing, and how to be able to get lots of things and advocate for the profession, this is the lady to look at. So it just shows it is possible. There are so many challenges, of course, within nursing, but I do think having a supportive network, being able to have some deep dives around some of these really thorny topics are some of the things that we want to do more of at the Nursing Now Challenge. But as ever, I'm incredibly proud of everything I hear and see in terms of what you are doing. And we need to keep beating the drum. We need to keep showing what we do. We need to keep telling our story and busting the myths, actually. We're always stronger when we're together than we ever are when we try and be divided or divisive. So I just want to say a huge thank you to you all. I'm just always so impressed and humbled by the passion, the tenacity and the commitment. And it's going to be, you lot that are going to sustain this by supporting the next generation. So when you're practicing with the student nurse that's just started his or her first placement, or when you're supporting somebody that's thinking about whether or not they want to be a nurse and a midwife, I think we all need to really cherish that and hang on to it, because at the end of the day, you know, we are what we see, and the profession kind of does a lot of things that doesn't always support early careers, early generations, and innovative career pathways. And you know, I really took the bit about nursing isn't just about the bedside. It's so much bigger than that. And but it's our duty to carry that message, and our responsibility to get in front of the serious decision makers and show them that, and keep showing them, and never tire of showing and telling them. And that's exactly what Professor Sheila has done throughout her career, and had amazing success as a result. So keep going, keep doing what you're doing, utilize this network, tell us what you want, let us support you to keep carrying the brilliant work that you all do across the world and within your local communities. So thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time to be with us, and stay connected, and let's keep carrying this brilliance across our communities. Have a great day or evening or afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks so very much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.